Everybody, Kylausti with Matt Wenzel outside Spartans Stadium after Mark Antonio's weekly press conference. And we got Minnesota this week, but a lot of talk still about that win last week down at Michigan Stadium. And I guess my first out of three questions here for you today is this team back? 3-9, big win, 2-0 in the Big Ten. I mean, can fans start to feel like this is the Michigan State of old again?
Well, I certainly think they feel a lot better than they did before the start of the season. I mean, there were the predictions before the start of the season. I mean, very little attention nationally. Most people didn't consider them to be a legitimate Big Ten contender, and I think the reasons are legitimate. They went 3-9 the year before. They had a ton of attrition. They lost some of their same players, but you look at it now, they're 4-1. Their only loss was to Notre Dame when they turned the ball over 3 times. One was a pick 6. They just come off the road against a win against a top 10 Michigan team. The defense looked dominant again. So yeah, I mean, I think that this, we'll see how it plays, especially those back-to-back games with Penn State and Ohio State. But right now, this team looks like a legitimate top of the Big Ten team.
I agree, and it just has so many of the hallmarks, of these teams. They've got young defensive guys that are really breaking out, like we saw before. Unheralded guys. They're getting the takeaways after that Notre Dame game. They're getting the takeaways. They're winning. The Lions are winning on both sides of the ball. It seems like a Michigan State team of old. A lot can happen between now and the end of the season, but certainly farther along and closer looking to old Michigan State at this point than either versus. Yep. Question number 2: for everything good that happened Saturday night, they still didn't score the ball after halftime. Didn't get a first down until their last drive, and I know the weather had a lot to do with that. But really, second straight week, not much going offensively, but they're still winning. So is that a concern for you?
Yeah, I mean, it would be. I'm sure the team is concerned a little bit about it. I mean, you go back to the Iowa game, they win 17-10. After the game, Dave Warner said, we can't ask our defense to do that again and carry us in the second half. They just did a second straight week, which is a concern when you go 2 weeks in a row without scoring a point in the second half. But at the same time, it's a pretty good sign for your defense if you can go 2 straight weeks and not score a point in the second half and get a pair of Big Ten wins. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both.
We've seen this before. I mean, I think it's probably a little late in the season than they hope, but we've seen Michigan State offenses take a while to figure it out. They've got a new quarterback. They've got a lot of young wide receivers. So it's not shocking. I think it could be a little – I mean, they're going to have to figure it out at one point. This can't be the formula for the whole season, but I think the defense is giving the offense a lot of breathing right now, and I think they're showing some improvement. I mean, I think Brian Lewerke, for – as good as his stats were against Notre Dame, I thought he was better against Michigan, mostly because of his decision-making and his turnovers. So I think there's progress there.
Yeah, I mean, only 155 yards of offense, but it was pretty good all-around performance, error-free for the most part.
All right, Minnesota this weekend. Haven't seen Minnesota since 2013, I don't think, but we've seen their coach a couple of times, PJ Fleck. Anything to take away from the D'Antonio Fleck Part 3 here?
Well, I mean, he has coached against the team before. We was asked about it today. He said asked if you'd go back and revisit those games Michigan State played against Western in 13 and 15, I believe. Mark said, yeah, we'll go back and look at all of it. So, I mean, I'm sure they're just going to look for similar tendencies to carry over, and they played them twice already, so I mean, there's something to that.
I think they should be happy that they got him in year 1 of Fleck. I mean, he's a crossover game. They're not going to play him every year. I think if they had Minnesota 2-3 years from now, I think he's going to get them going at Minnesota. But right now, I think they're young. It sounds like they're pretty beat up. I think it's going to take them a little bit to get rolling. So maybe there's some similarities, but I think they're catching Minnesota at a good time. Well, that'll do it. 8 p.m., another 8 p.m. kickoff for Minneapolis this weekend. And until then, check mlive.com/Spartans for all your coverage.